Patch 13.8 is upon us, so it's time for a complete update on the best solo carries. As always, we will be covering 3 champions for every single role that hold the greatest ability to impact games on their own for the current meta. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Now that Malphite has finally been nerfed, a tank top laner that should not be slept on for 13.8 is Sion. Sion has slowly but surely been climbing in priority over the past few patches, and with the champ being a really good answer to Malphite, he's going to be even better off in 13.8. In previous patches, Sion was one of the few top laners who had a positive win rate in the Malphite matchup, winning over 53% of the time. Darius is a solid ban option for Sion, as the consistent DPS and true damage of Darius is difficult for Sion to play around. Winning lane and spreading that lead across the map with Sion's immaculate roam power should be your goal in every single game. We really like these top lane picks who have the ability to influence the map because it makes closing out games when you're ahead much easier. The build for Sion is a Heartsteel Rush into Sunfire Aegis 2nd and Titanic Hydra 3rd. Run Grasp for the Keystone rune with Demolish, Conditioning, and Overgrowth. Minion Dematerializer and Approach Velocity are the best secondaries. Our second top lane solo carry is another who has very strong map impact at level 6, being Pantheon. Pantheon is the best fighter top lane champ that you can play for solo queue right now. Very easy to pick up and very strong in meta, which makes him a no-brainer add to your champion pool. Mal nerfed this patch is great for Panth as well, since it was one matchup he's been struggling with in recent patches. These tankier tops are who Panth has a harder time against, so using your ban on Sion or Malphite is good value. To see maximum success on Pantheon, you need to be taking advantage of his potent laning power. Poking the enemy with Q when they are going for last hits, whittling them down, and then going all in with your full combo and Ignite should be the game plan in melee matchups. To learn more about trading effectively in lane, our Master in Minutes trading course is a great resource that can be found on our website. Build for Pantheon is an Eclipse Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Spear of Shojin 3rd. Rune Page consists of Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Run Conditioning and Overgrowth for secondaries. A common theme among all 3 of the solo carry tops for this patch is that every single one has the ability to escape the island up in top lane. Shen rounds out the top 3 and is such an incredibly reliable solo queue top laner. 2 most common Shen matchups over the past few patches have been Malphite and Sion, and Shen is winning over 54% of the time against both. The Mord matchup is always one that can give Shen some issues, so he's a good ban to consider. Since Shen has the global impact with his ultimate, he's able to run Ignite instead of Teleport. This alone gives Shen such an edge up, because if the enemy takes Teleport, they won't have the same all-in power as Shen, and if they take Ignite, they won't be able to match Shen's ult plays. Trading around W cooldown is very important for Shen to win out in lane. Short trades around the spell to soften the enemy up, and then going all in with Ignite will often surprise the enemy, as most players don't really see Shen as this potent laning champ. Build for Shen is a Heartsteel Rush followed by Sunfire Aegis 2nd and Titanic Hydra 3rd. As for runes, roll with Grasp, Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Revitalize for primaries. Best secondary page consists of Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter. A jungler whose play rate has more than doubled over the past few patches and is in an incredibly strong spot for solo queue is Gragas. Now that Jarvan has been nerfed, if you're looking for an alternative with excellent early gank power, there's no better option than Gragas. You want to be super active throughout the early game with Gragas, ideally playing towards which lane provides the best gank setup. If you can chain your CC with someone like Nautilus or Thresh, then there's no way the enemy is escaping your gank. To learn more about executing ganks effectively, the Ganking Masterclass course is a great in-depth resource to help you out. So much of Gragas' power in the mid-game is from finding flash engage plays on enemy squishies, so using your ban on a good protector support like Melio or Lulu is a good idea. Night Harvester is the optimal rush item for Gragas, followed by Shadowflame 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. Run Dark Harvest for the Keystone rune with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. Transcendence and Water Walking are for secondaries. Whether you're looking for an assassin or a fighter jungler, Kayn is first in class for 13.8 and our second solo carry jungler. With so many meta picks like Jarvan, Lee Sin, and Wukong falling in power, the rise of Kayn has been in full effect. If you can master both of Kayn's forms, he's such a powerful champion to have in your arsenal. Being able to adapt based on what the enemy team comp consists of is a great luxury to have. Collecting orbs and reaching form as fast as possible is always the main win condition for Kayn. When going blue Kayn, playing around lanes with ranged characters is preferable, while you want to be playing towards melee lanes when going red Kayn. Kayn doesn't have the best early gank power, so banning out a jungler who does, like Jarvan or Hecarim, will help Kayn scale more reliably. Build for red Kayn is a Goredrinker Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Death Stance 3rd. For blue Kayn, you'll want to run Prowler's Claw in combination with Ghost Blade and Manamune. Conqueror is the keystone rune for red Kayn, Kayn with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand, followed by Freeboots and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. First Strike is what you should run when playing Blue Kayn, with Freeboots, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. Best secondaries are Sudden Impact and Ingenious Hunter. Rounding out the top 3 for jungle is going to be Echo. Echo has been a jungler on the rise in recent patches due to Nashor's buffs, and with so many other junglers nerfed, it's indirectly made him stronger as well. Matchup-wise for Echo, both Kindred and Kha'Zix are good ban options, as they do a really good job at shutting down Echo's burst combo. One of Echo's massive strengths is his ability to look for pick plays that would otherwise be very risky for most champs. The whole enemy team can be grouped as 5, but if you have an angle onto the enemy priority target, it doesn't matter how many enemies are around, as you can one-shot your target and ult right back to safety. Setting up in Fog of War and playing for these pick plays with W is how you're going to find great success in the mid game. Core build for Echo is a Nashor's Rush into Rocket Belt 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. Grab First Strike for the Keystone Rune with Magical Footwear, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. Optimal secondaries are Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter. One mid lane champ who's very quietly made her way back to the top of the solo queue meta is Ahri. It was back in 13.4 when Ahri saw a couple of buffs, and since then, her play rate has increased every single patch. Now the likes of Aurelion Sol and Veigar are no longer dominating the meta, Ahri slides by in priority and is a top-tier solo queue mid. Champs who have point-and-click damage are who Ahri struggles against the most, as she can't outplay them with her mobility, so Annie is a good ban option. Playing around R cooldown and changing how you posture based on whether the spell is available or not is vital to your success on Ahri. When R is up, you should be constantly scoping out angles where the enemy squishy splits from their team, giving you the opportunity to dive in and punish. When it's down, you gotta play more reserved, looking for max range charm plays or just waiting until R comes back up. This is why it's very important to run Ultimate Hunter and Runes along with Transcendence and secondaries, so you can get Ahri R on as short a cooldown as possible. Build for Ahri consists of an Everfrost Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. Not a single nerf to Annie for 13.8, so she will continue to be a free elo generator, especially for the lower ranks. It's actually really nice for Annie that picks like Ahri and Katarina have seen massive play rate spikes in recent patches, as Annie's point and click damage nullifies their high mobility kits super hard. Long range pick champs that can catch Annie outside of her max range are good bans to consider, so Lux or Fizz are good options. The way Annie plays is often quite predictable, as she has to run straight at the enemy and get relatively close up to deal her damage. You want to eliminate as much of this predictability as possible by playing Annie more like an assassin, setting up in brush and catching targets out when they least expect it. If the enemy face checks into you, there's quite literally no way for you to mess up on your combo, and if the enemy does not see you, they'll be dead before they can react. Playing Aram with long range poke mid lane champs is often the way to go, but with Annie, sieging mid is not how you're going to find max success. Standard build for Annie is a Luden's Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. Electrocute is Keystone Rune, with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter. Best secondaries are Mana Flow and Absolute Focus. For the third and final solo carry mid of the patch, we have Fizz. Fizz is in a really solid spot right now due to recent direct buffs, and also with how the mid lane meta is aligned. Fizz is a monster of a counter to Aurelion Sol, who has been consistently a highly played mid ever since his mini rework. Worst matchups for Fizz are champs who can nullify his one-shot power, so Vladimir is one of the better bans for Fizz. How you play the first 3 levels of the lane can make or break how successful you are with Fizz. Give up a few CS if it means you avoid taking damage. Getting to level 3 with a few corrupting potion charges left is super important. At 3 is where you look to play more aggressive, looking to hard punish the enemy when they miss or waste cooldowns. Optimal build for Fizz is Luden's Rush into Lichbane 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Electrocutes the Keystone Rune with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. Triumph and Coup de Grace are for secondaries. For the ADC top 3, there is nobody better than Jinx for 13.8. Xayah and Zeri both being nerfed in recent patches has really opened things up for Jinx to rise as the unrivaled ADC. Get Jinx to 2 items and her teamfight impact off passive resets is some of the best for any ADC. Finding that first reset in a teamfight is super key to winning fights, and something you should be laser focused on with Jinx. When paired with the melee support, the chain CC power at level 3 with Flame Chompers is quite strong and where you can look to take control of the lane. Level 6 is where you can really get the ball rolling with Jinx, as her execute damage from R provides great follow-up on supports and engages. Instead of banning another ADC, your ban when playing Jinx is generally best used on a meta-engaged champion like Malphite or Jarvan. Core build is a Kraken Slayer Rush into Infinity Mighty Edge second, and Rapid Fire Cannon third. Roll with Lethal Tempo as the keystone, followed by Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Best secondary runes are Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. Not quite on the same level as Jinx, but a very respectable ADC nonetheless, is Xayah. If Jinx and Xayah are your two main ADCs in your champion pool right now, you're set up extremely well for 13.8. If there's one thing that Xayah has the edge up compared to Jinx, it's pure survivability into heavy dive comps. It's not really just a Jinx thing though. Any ADC without a gap close feels bad into dive champs, but Xayah can weather the storm better than most due to her R. If you're last pick ADC in lobby and notice the enemy comp is hard dive, even though Jinx is super strong in meta, picking Xayah in that spot is often the better play. Playing around your R cooldown is vital to your success on Xayah, especially if you don't have flash available. You really gotta change how you posture in teamfights or you'll get blown up right away. You can't go wrong with using your ban on Jinx right now with how prevalent she is in the current meta. Build for Xayah is a Gale Force Rush into Quick Blade second and a Bloodthirster third. Lethal Tempo is the keystone rune with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Free Boots and Biscuits are the way to go for secondaries. Buff for 13.8 and who will be without question the most sleeper OP ADC is Kog'Maw. Despite Kog not being played very much in solo queue, he has been one of the better performing ADCs in recent patches. With the buffs this patch, more players should start to take notice of that. The Season 13 meta, where you can take Flash with Ghost as summoner spells, works extremely well on Kog. Ghost popped in a team fight with a support like Melio or Lulu by your side, and you're actually very difficult to kill despite lacking a gap closer. Super hard engage is what Kog can struggle against the most, so using your ban on Rakan is a good choice. Blade of the Ruined King into Rage Blade is the 2-item spike you should be playing for. The DPS potential on this core completion is super nuts and gives Kog one of the better mid-game spikes. Third item really depends on the game, as Wit's End, Shield Bow, and Hurricane are all great options. The most popular Kog build doesn't even involve building a Mythic right now. Lethal Tempo is the optimal keystone rune with Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand. Run Conditioning and Overgrowth for secondaries. Moving on to the top 3 for support, first up is the recently released Melio. No Enchanter support comes close to matching the power of Melio right now. Melio's kit is absolutely insane and offers immense power when it comes down to enabling his carries. With these hyper carries like Jinx and Kai'Sa being the most played ADCs in solo queue, it bodes extremely well for Melio right now. Melio Q does a really good job at countering engaged champs. However, supports who can pick him off from long range are who can offer the most issues. For that reason, banning Blitzcrank is good value due to his relatively high play rate. Win condition for Melio does not need to be overly complicated. The protection the champ provides is ludicrous, so sticking by whoever is most fed on your team and making sure they don't die is how you're going to be effective on Melio. Core build is a Shurelya's Rush into Ardent Censer second and Redemption or Staff of Flowing Water third. Nothing beats Aerie for the keystone with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Bone Plating and Revitalize are what you should prioritize for secondaries. Thresh being battered down a bit by the recent 13.7 nerf have given room for Blitzcrank to emerge as the hook god down in bot lane. Jinx meta is super good for Blitz because the duo synergy is amazing, but at the same time, if the enemy team picks Jinx, Blitz is one of the better supports at punishing her lack of a gap closer. You can never go wrong with a Morgana ban when playing Blitz, as her black shield makes catch plays less reliable. The most obvious win condition for Blitz is to land as many hooks as possible, but how can we increase our ability to do so? Playing around side lane brush, using Hex Flash effectively, and holding your hook for as long as possible are a few ways. If you're looking to improve your laning phase as a support, our Master Minutes course, just uploaded to our website last week, will help you a ton. Bread and butter 2-item core for Blitz is Shurelya's with Zeke's, while Wardstone is great slotted in third. You'll want to run Glacial Augment with Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight for primary runes. Bone Plating and Flinchings are for secondaries. In terms of a pure solo carry support in 13.8, there's nobody who comes close to rivaling Senna. Ever since those buffs back in patch 13.4, Senna has been a top performer in the support meta. Senna's kit is built to scale insanely well, and stacking your souls to enable this scaling power should be of your utmost priority. Choosing optimal trade windows in lane and getting those souls stacking is very important to get the most out of Senna. By acquiring a ton of souls and hitting a few core items, you can be as much of a damage threat as anyone on your team. Senna struggles most against long-range catch champions, so either Lux or Blitzcrank are who we would recommend banning. The build for Senna is an Umbral Glaive Rush into Eclipse second and Rapid Fire Cannon third. Rune Page revolves around Fleet for the keystone with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Cut Down. Grab Biscuits and Approach Velocity for secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skill Capped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week with over 1,600 100 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So there you have it, guys, the best solo carries for every single role in patch 13.8. Thanks so much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and we'll catch you in the next one.